Maybe we should start again on your team. Totally forgot.
See, what you got to do on these podcasts is hit record.
Yeah, that's what step one. Make sure the camera's on, your computer's on. Step two, hit record.
Yeah.
We're so new to this.
We had tried to have kids for a couple of years, and it just wasn't in God's plan.
Mm-hmm.
And what was in His plan is for us to have time together. And everyone's different. Every marriage and every couple is different. But for us, that was good.
Yeah.
I think it's tough because we got married. We were 21, 22 years old.
Yeah, it's like me.
Yeah. So if you get thrown in that fire, live together all of a sudden, and then dump kids on, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
To do all at once. So thankfully, we had our few years doing our own thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy, and like I mentioned earlier, you'd always say yes to all this. As your coach,
Right.
I would always ask you to do stuff. You would do it, and I think we get into that habit there are some people that are yes people, and if somebody needs help, you immediately want to help, or you immediately want to do this or that. I know it's a strain early on in a marriage, but also think of it this way: when you're on the other side of that, you can look back and be like, okay, we both went through the fire together. We both we got our bumps out of the way, or at least we could learn through the process. So there's always a learning element. You can always learn from all this stuff, even the negative stuff.
Yeah, it's like just try to do minimal damage along the way. You can't avoid it, but you can try to minimize it and just have better tools to go through channel the waters. Yeah. I feel like every pro athlete gets this question, but it's just like, what was it for them to be fit and healthy? But how did you, I guess, project that on them, or how did it come about it?
I think they just saw. So my wife Amber and I were, for the most part, pretty outgoing and athletic. She rode horses and jumped horses for many years. Ever since my kids have been born, I've been a gym rat, or coaching something or doing this or that. And she's very active as well. So from an early age, especially in my son's case, because my son is my oldest, firstborn.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm like, I want him to do this and I want him to do that. And like, I played basketball, I ran track, I did all these things. I want my son to do that too. So from an early age, he was doing that stuff, like pre-K basketball.
Yeah.
And I've always been, not necessarily on purpose, but I've always been one of his coaches on every team he's been on.
Right. Yeah.
And my daughter, a couple years ago, they were doing a track program outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
And she was involved. She's never really gotten into it, into anything team sport wise.
Yeah.
But they see it from us. Like, we're just active. We do that stuff. I play flag football. My son and I play flag football together once a year. We go up to Tennessee in February for that. My son's played flag football for many years. I've been an assistant coach every year with him doing that. It's awesome. And then obviously track. So this is my daughter's first year in a school sport.
In school.
And she doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, listen, on Tuesdays and Thursdays when I go pick you up and I take Isaac to track, you're there too. You're doing track.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's it.
Unless she find something else, or
correct. Yeah. So I would never, other than this instance, and it's more because of convenience. I'm not forcing a sport on any kid.
Just gotta do something.
I mean, if my daughter wanted to, if she was had an art program or had a music program, things like that, I would support the heck out of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a sport, but as a sport-minded guy, I'm happy that right now.
It's just more relatable.
Yeah. And they know, my son especially because of flag football. When I'm out there on the field, I have a coach hat on. I'm not dad. Yeah. If anything, I tend to be a little bit tougher.
Sure.
On him. I don't know with my daughter yet, but I'm a little tougher and I expect more.
Right. Just in the when you were talking about your kids, I thought about, man, it's just a visual.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things that we pick up that are athletic is just by watching it, and how our eyes and our sensory picks it up. I think that's good because, I was reading into my PE stuff. It's like the best examples are your parents. If your parents are active, then your kids would be active. You don't have to speak game to them.
Yeah, and also, I was running those races and marathons for a stretch of years too, and so I think they just solved that. They would see me wake up and put the extra effort in and put the time in. some kids are wired to be athletic, some kids are not. Sometimes you have to force it. Thankfully we've been blessed where our kids, they don't mind being active.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do have to push them out the door a little bit, but for the most part, they don't struggle with that stuff. Once they're doing it, they're good. They're in good shape.
Yeah, that's my goal as a father one day, just to see my dad's grinding. I'm a grinder just as hard.
Yeah. Set the example.
Yeah.
I did one sprint triathlon one time. A buddy coerced me into doing it, a former coworker of mine, because he had done a couple of them. And the sprints, when you look at it on paper, you're like, I could do that. Right. It doesn't seem that bad. It's a quarter-mile swim. Okay, you think about a track. It's one loop. Okay, that's not bad on the swim.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bike is, I can't remember how many miles. It was like 11 miles or 12. I don't remember.
Yeah. It's like.
Yeah, and then the run is a 5K. So
5K.
I'm like, dude, I could do that. I won't crush it, but I could do it.
Right.
And what you don't know is you have to know the terrain. You have to have the right kind of equipment. You can't just roll out of there with a normal bike.
Right.
I had a hybrid, and that was still tough. And then on the swim, I actually trained a little bit for it, but I was training in a pool. This is many years ago, but I was training in a pool to try to get my stroke down. My stroke is pretty decent, but the one difference there is that you're training by yourself.
Oh, God.
Not with 30 other people converging upon you,
splashing in your
and you're breathing. So for me, I actually panicked in the water. That was the first part of the race. Panicked in the water. I tried to let all the traffic pass me, and I'm not too proud to admit this. I actually turned over on my back and started backstroking a bit because I needed my breathing to get back right.
Get back in. Yeah.
And I have a photo of me coming out of the water. Holy crap! I look like a ghost.
Yeah,
I mean,
just white.
YouTube, you can tell I'm not white, but my goodness. And then at that point, I'm like, shoot, I got this. I got the bike now. The bike was kind of miserable, and then by the time
mindset's kind of shot.
My mindset was shot from the first quarter-mile swim, and then the run. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just gonna dog it. I just want to finish at this point.
Finish it, man.
Yeah. So it's I've done that. I've done some of those mud type races and things like that. Fun. I haven't done a good solid 5-10K or anything like that in a while. It's obviously last year we couldn't. There was nothing. There was no races or anything.
Yeah, that's what I need to get to is a marathon running pace, because I just can't just keep running. Right now that's just my mindset, but I'm sure.
Well, so you and I run differently, and for me, especially on a longer race like that, I would tend to get into what's known as a Galloway method. Which is where you start getting your interval times of you're running for maybe it's a 3-minute run and you're walking off 30 seconds, maybe even 60 seconds. But it's constantly doing that. So at least mentally during a longer race, you're always looking forward to something. You're always thinking about the time, and you're thinking about where am I in the run? Oh, great, I have this 30-second break coming, and you're still briskly moving. And there's been some studies that show like people have improved their overall times by actually doing that rather than just trying to run the whole thing.
One thing I've learned from Mind Pump TV, I'm not sure if you've listened to them on the podcast on Spotify, that's like it's better to hit like the same muscle group multiple times throughout the week instead of burning out one day and then you're not doing anything for the whole week on that group. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I felt always had to be sore and tired, but you just have just enough to keep going.
Yeah, you just have to listen to your body. I mean, when it comes to anything, running, boxing, lifting, everything, you have to listen to your body, and you have to get the right amount of rest, sleep, I should say. I've always been under the philosophy that, your health is tied to a few different factors: what you eat, what you do, and how you sleep. If you get those 3 things right, then you're going to do pretty well for yourself. And I always struggle with the sleep side. I've gotten better, but my mind is constantly running. I'm going in 1,000 directions all the time. So sometimes it's tougher to get to sleep, but you have to listen to your body 100%.
Yeah. I've learned 9 p.m., 10 p.m. in bed, no later than 10:30.
Yeah. And
I've just picked up some sleeping tea, just to calm myself down.
Sure.
So I was like, I'll try it. It works, and balancing out, keeping that tension of being healthy, and then just enjoying life.
Yeah.
When you're on vacation.
So like I said, we've been at this game for a while. So I mean, going on almost 17. It'll be 17 years this year in August. And it's a learning curve, right? So you learn, and you've learned in a handful of years of marriage that everything, it's always adapting. So it's never like, oh, I figured it out and now you're good. No, lives change. So for us, and I think especially in the early years, especially when I was coaching track, that was tough.
Okay.
Because I was initially coaching not at a different school that's closed now, my alma mater, Luther High, Orlando Luther. That's where Eli went, right? First, and so I was coaching there, but we didn't have kids, and then we had a kid, and then we're juggling time. I had that commitment that I'd already committed to, and so there was tension there because there was a lot of time away. You don't
exactly.
You're doing it because you love it and you want to help teach kids and teach high schoolers and get them better. And I feed off of that. I love seeing people improve and hit goals and whatnot. And so when I was doing that, but then I also have to be home too. You have a newborn or you have this. That's hard.
It is hard, yeah.
And there were times there was tension, and it's she never gave me the full ultimatum, but I know it was in her mind like you need to choose.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to be home or you're going to do that?
Yeah.
She's a great woman, and she was able to give me my balance that she knew I needed, and then I vice versa try to do that for her too, and that's carried on to today. She knows very well like the time that I put into athleticism, the gym, running, whatever else. That's not just to look and feel good. I mean, to look good. It's it's part of the mental side, making sure that I'm all with it, because if I feel good about the athletic side and my physical side, then I'm going to be better. I'm going to be a better husband at home. I'm going to be a better father. I'm going to be better in all these other areas. I just think I'm a big believer in stuff like that is all intertwined together. Physical, spiritual, emotional, all these things I think work together. And so we weren't without the struggles initially, but we were young. It was I only lived with dudes up to that point in a frat house. Never lived with a woman because you're not supposed to. Cohabitation before marriage. And so when we got married, it's like, okay, cool. I have a wife now, and now I have a new roommate who's a woman. And, you know what I mean? So I had a sister growing up, but she was much older, so I didn't really get all the nuances of living with a female. And you learn on the way. So we figured things out. Nothing's without its challenges, and even to this day, it's still managing your time. Still is 100%.
Yeah. Your lifts are usually in the morning?
Oh yeah. I got to go to the gym. I wake up. Now I'm waking up about when the alarm goes off at 4:30.
Wow.
And I'm in there at 5:30. And then I'm out. Like usually we'll go from 5:30 to about 7 o'clock.
Skim out. Yeah.
And I'd rather go quicker. My buddy Armando, who's my lifting partner, not dogs it, but he takes his time, and I'm like, no, we need to go. This is my cardio too. Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
In November, I did the carnivore diet. I went 30 days.
You also did a broth, like a...
Well, that's part of it. So I was drinking, I was making homemade beef bone broth, literally just water and beef bones and some salt. So I did the carnivore diet in November for a month. And I think I deviated like once maybe, I just needed some carbs. But that in itself, it's like basically a month of no carbs.
Yeah. How was it?
It was tough. It was challenging. The first few days, it's like, it's kind of cool. So you're like, oh, I'm just eating steak and eating eggs and chicken and stuff like that. But then you get to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, your body has certain levels of bacteria in it for carbs, and it starts to try to flush that out. So you're on the toilet a bit. And then once your body figures it out, then you're having to get your fat loads up. And I had a tougher time getting the fat level up. Just trying to eat the right stuff to do so. Like obviously bacon, things like that are good. But bro, I had too much. I was just so tired of eating bacon. I was so tired. Like as you get into that, like you get to like day 20, you're just like, I just want to eat this just to sustain my life. I don't even want to do this anymore. But what I did from there, headed into December, and even now, is a keto diet. Okay. So my mom's been on keto for 18 months or so. She never needed to lose weight or anything like that. She's doing it more for blood sugar levels, because my grandmother had diabetes. And that runs in our family, the different things. So she's done it for that purpose, and she's like trimmed out like ridiculously, and she's been very disciplined with it. Very disciplined.
Yeah, that's the thing with keto. You have to, because if you're not in ketosis, there's no point.
No, exactly. Yeah. So I've been doing that since, call it December, and I've gotten thrown out of ketosis. Like Christmas happens.
Sure.
You know, I'm going to enjoy Christmas. I'm not going to worry about that too much. And sometimes you're just like kind of sitting there like, I just want the bread. I just want it. Just give me a bread. I just want it. But I've been pretty much doing that, and it's worked. So from carnivore through now, I dropped about 20 pounds, call it, from where I was.
On keto?
Yeah, so carnivore and keto in total, I've lost about 20 and kept it off. That was the other thing.
Yeah.
And my energy load is very good. Like, I go to the gym and I push it. You know,
but no pre-workout? Or?
I'll use some pre-workout. I'm sorry, I gotta get some Bay Area, man.
I've been straight black coffee.
Yeah.
And then I'm good.
You're better than me.
But maybe that's just, I'm young.
Yeah, I'm sleeping better. That was the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I sleep better. And I'm a migraine sufferer. Well, I've only had a couple migraines since the beginning of November. Usually I'd have, you know, at least one, maybe two a week.
Wow.
Now I've only had maybe 3 or 4, and I think it's because of weather.
Right.
Carbs play a huge part in that.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize the processed carb stuff that goes on in all of our foods, it is not good. Your body's not made to process that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
For everybody that's trying to attain something, whether it's a physical goal, mental goal, whatever else, you gotta visualize it, not only in your mind, but you gotta write something down, or maybe it's a photo base, or whatever it is. You have to be able to see it, because
some kind of documentation.
The documentation of it, the likelihood of you succeeding or hitting your goal, I can't remember, it goes up, the percentage that it goes up is massive.
Right.
Versus just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they always say, like, on New Year's resolution time, write down. Like, if you want to do something, write it down so you can see it. Yeah. And you can hold yourself accountable that way. It's easier to blow it off if you're not doing that.
Yeah.
So that's
cool. Is there something that's called good debt? Like, obviously like a mortgage, but anything else besides that?
I think most people would consider good debt. The mortgage is really the big one. Debt can serve purposes, so I don't want people to think that, no, you should have zero. You should have zero all the time. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand that's not realistic all the time. Debt, the good, or mortgage, the good debt, I should say, quote unquote. Yeah, I mean, listen, when we're talking like credit cards, car payments, things like that, I mean, you are owned by banking institutions when you suffer from having that much, you know, all these credit cards, things like that. You are underneath someone else's palm. Right. That is definitely not good debt. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to finance your way through college, okay, I understand that. Right. You know, there's differences, because there's an end goal and end result to that. If it's just, hey, I wanted the latest and greatest, you know, Jordans or whatever, put it on the credit card. That's stupid. Yeah. That's stupid. And I'm not preaching here. Yeah. I've made those mistakes. That's why I know. We've made those mistakes. Yeah. And we've been through the Financial Peace University before. I've helped teach a class on Financial Peace University, and we still have made the same kind of mistakes. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm preaching from my own pulpit, but I just think that ultimately, if you are able to get to a point in your life where, oh, you know what, I like those Jordans. Yeah. Guess what? I also have the money to pay for it. Yeah. And it's not going to impact my budget. It's not going to impact anything. That's just part of my fun money. Yeah. Right. Boom. Done. Rather than, here you go, Visa, MasterCard. That's stupid. Sure. Yeah. That is way stupid. Yeah, it's a mindset, it's possession. Wear your Airwalks and Vans for a little while before you get them Jordans. That's dating myself. Wear them Filos. Wear those before the Jordans. In the office, like back when at my old firm, in the corporate world, I was wearing a suit every day, and I was looking good. I was looking dapper. When I decided to run my own business, I'm like, you know what? I still have suits, but I don't want to wear them. Yeah. You know, if I'm impressing someone with a suit and that's why they want to work with me, then they're not going to be a good client. Yeah. Down the road. I would much rather. I'll still look good. Like, it was cold outside. I have a sweatshirt on, but I have a polo shirt on underneath. But my kicks are Adidas, man. I don't mess with it. That's one thing I told my wife. Like, as you get older, you figure out what brands you want to represent. What do they call it? Well, for the from the company standpoint, it's brand retention. They want to make sure they want you to be a client for life. Yeah. So you look at cleaning products. some people are like, no, I get that Clorox no matter what. I don't get the Publix brand. I get Clorox. No matter what.
Yeah. My wife, she nannies for a couple. Use it for a family that does miles. I was like, oh, it's environment safe. No bacteria, whatever. It's crap.
It doesn't clean well.
She was like, I need that disgusting cancer soap that's gonna take the grease off my spaghetti plate.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
That's it.
And then so for me, I like the clean look of things. I'm like kind of very.
I like the 3 stripes on Adidas. Even like these are Adidas.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing. Is like the pants.
Yeah.
I never want to take for granted because she allows me to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I told her it's like kind of an agreement. It's like it's almost like this and whatever you're doing doesn't come in between our time.
Yeah.
But it's funny because she's a 9, so she likes to just come home and play The Sims. That's her thing, and so it gives me more time.
And that's great, though.
Yeah. So she knows what she wants, and
I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer that you obviously need time together, but you also need your individual times too, because you are 2 individual people.
Yeah.
So you do need time as well apart in order to continue to grow together. So I'm a big believer in that. If she has some interest that you're not interested in, let her have her time.
Yeah.
Just like she does it for you, and then come together and have your time together.
Yeah, and sometimes we're in the room doing separate things. So.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
that's what happens a lot. Like we'll be laying in bed, and Amber's watching something on her phone. I'm not interested in whatever show it is, but the fact is, it's about presence. You're present together.
Yeah.
And whether I'm just playing a game or something on my phone, or
you still have time for games?
You gotta find time, man.
That's impressive.
I don't have a lot of time. I play sometimes when my kids get on fire for a video game. I like to play it with them, and that way I understand and kind of figure out what's going on in their world.
And just to check in.
But anyway, so yeah.
Wow. I think that's it. I mean, traffic is gonna coming up soon, so we should head on the road. But guys, appreciate for listening, watching. Battery's almost dead. Go check out.
Yeah, let me plug them. I'm gonna plug them here.
So
we got the boxing podcast. That's Weighing In with Travis Hartman. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, all the good stuff, iTunes, iHeartRadio, blah blah blah. It's everywhere. We're on Facebook and I think Instagram. I don't know. Yeah, we talk real big, but we're local. We're local boys here from Orlando.
That's right.
So Weighing In with Travis Hartman. My personal stuff, I never push this at Facebook at all or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's Working on Waters. Waters is my last name. Working on Waters. I just talk about vlog stuff, diet, keto, gym stuff.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like what you're doing.
That's what
make it look better.
No. I love collabing. I just love community. Go subscribe, like, share.
Subscribe to my stuff.
Yeah.
Subscribe to his stuff.
Boom. We're done.
Go, man.